All right. About to go ahead and get started. What's going on? Blessings, breed blessings. How you guys doing? Hope everybody's had a good week, man. Hope everyone's had a good week. Let me go ahead and actually pull this up real quick. Let me see what's going on. There we go. All right. Let me switch this over. Go over to Forex Factory. Let me make sure that my headphones are on because I don't want the music to be echoing into the mic. So give me a second. And I will definitely actually need to turn the volume down a little bit. Let me turn this down quite a bit. There we go. Hope that's not too loud. Let's go ahead and get things started, guys.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, and welcome to another one of my weekly Forex and crypto analysis, guys. I do appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get started. So how I usually like to start this off is usually I always make sure I go and check out what's the high impact news gonna be like this weekend. Oh my goodness, there is a lot. It looks like quite a bit of high impact news. We're getting closer to the end of the year. There's one thing that I want to say is that usually there are a couple of traders, like this is the month that there are traders who they look to say, hey, the market dies down. There's not as much volume as there is throughout the rest of the year in the market. So they say that, hey, I'm going to go ahead and stop trading for the month of December. They go on their holidays. You know, Christmas is coming up and New Year's coming up as well. So a lot of traders that say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take a break from that. Personally, me, I don't do that personally. I'm like, hey, every week is a earning opportunity. There's definitely, when it comes to that, it's more of like, oh, I just want to be more fresh for the new year type of style. That's how I like to think of it personally. And I'm just like, hey, to each his own. You know, there's some people that say, I want to take my trading more serious in the new year versus me starting off in December. So that's something that I just wanted to say before I went in and got started with this. So Tuesday, December 14th, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, there is PPI news for US dollar. And 1 p.m. there is NZD news. The governor will be speaking for the New Zealand dollar, so you'll want to watch for that. Wednesday, 1 a.m. there is GBP news with the CPI. 7:30 a.m. there's Canadian dollar news, CPI as well. US dollar has core retail sales and retail sales. 11 a.m. Canadian dollar. This is all on Wednesday, by the way. 11 a.m. Canadian dollar. You have Governor Macklem speaking, and there's going to be FOMC for the US dollar. Now, there's one news event for the US dollar other than NFP that I like to pay attention to closely is definitely FOMC. FOMC is one of those news events that is gonna make moves in the market. And I don't expect anything less for the FOMC to be this week. The press conference is what you really want to watch for at 1:30 p.m. But again, FOMC is really the news event other than NFP, if not more important than NFP, that I pay attention to. So just watch out for that on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time and 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for the US dollar. NZD, GDP, NZD for GDP at 3:45 p.m. 5:30 p.m. you have Australian dollar. That will be Governor Lowe speaking. Australian dollar, you have employment change and unemployment rate. Like, this week is very news heavy, so you definitely want to be careful with the trades that you are taking this week, for sure. Like, I know I will, because it's very news heavy this week. We have CHF news, SNB monetary policy statement. We have German flash manufacturing PMI for the euro and flash services. 3 a.m. Central Standard Time, we have the press conference. I would think that the press conference, I usually watch for the press conferences more than the actual news events that comes out. So for the CHF, we have the monetary policy statement at 2:30. That 3 a.m. is what I'll be really looking for, where I would be okay, maybe the market is definitely going to be pushing towards the way that it's going with the press conference. GDP 6 a.m. We have a lot of GDP news, purchase facility votes, official bank rate votes, monetary policy summary. There's a lot of GDP news, and the way how the GDP is looking right now, it's going to be very interesting how this is going to play out. 6:45 a.m. we have main refinancing rate. We have monetary policy statement for the euros, and 7:30 a.m. we have ECB press conference. So again, this week is very, very, very heavy with the news. Let me go ahead and make sure that I am audible on here real quick. Give me a second. Okay, cool. So there is that with the, I don't know why I can't get this on. Alright, so there's that with the news, the fundamental analysis. I am not a fundamental analysis trader by any means necessary. I just look at the news just to be able to be hey, you want to be careful because the market can make some big noise around this time. But I just look at the news as I don't use the news to grow a bias on my trades. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and make my screen full screen, and let's take a look at the DXY. Push this down over here. Okay, so DXY, let me get rid of this fib real quick. I'll bring that back up. So DXY last week left a wick to the upside again at this zone that I had previously drawn out on last week Sunday. We have this zone. Price has just been consolidating right beneath it. It has been respecting the zone very nicely. And I do like to see that there is a long wick to the upside, and where the price closed at, that's giving me confidence in saying that, the DXY is going to be pushing to the downside still. Right? So I still have my bias of I want to see the DXY start to turn around. Overall, long-term wise, I do think that, yes, the supply zone will get reached eventually for the DXY. I don't think it's going to happen this year, I would say that I would assume and presume. Let me say presume that that price is gonna reach here probably sometime in like 2022. But as of 2021, I do believe that price will be staying under the likes of 96.930. I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen, but that is my beliefs, right? Price has been consolidating in this box for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, basically 2 weeks, 2 trading weeks. Price has been consolidating in at this zone, right? I still want to see a breakout of either side. I am more leaning towards price pushing to the downside more than price going bullish. But hey, again, we have to see what's going to go on. I've talked about the trade opportunities that you could possibly take with the DXY last week, where we were able to get into Euro USD buys and USHEF sells. I'm going to go ahead and bring up this fib that I just put away. So I said that, hey, price, it drops down, comes back and retraces up. It respected this zone, pushed to the downside. I like seeing that. Now, again, since price has done that, and at this point, I'm just like, hey, it's in the middle. It can either go up or down. I still want to see a breakout of this zone, right? There's nothing really much more that I can do other than, like, if you're still in this trade from last week, of course, like Euro USD buys or USHEF sells, stop loss at break even, just hold the trade, right? I wouldn't try to trade as price is like right here in the middle of this zone. I want to see price break out either side first before I make another decision on the DXY, right? That's just me, right? At first there was a wedge that I had said, hey, I want to see price broke out of it, and then it still started to consolidate inside this box. So again, I still, like, nothing's really changed for me on the DXY since last week. Like, if I were to tell you that things have, I'd be lying. Price is currently under the 50 EMA, but right now as price is consolidating, that doesn't really mean anything. So at this point, I would rather price come in, just drop down and meet up this 50 EMA at this point. That's probably the play that I'm looking for. I do, however, short term, like right now, see the possibility, of course, the 23.6 fib. I do see the possibility of price dropping back down, or like it came down, dropping down here. I do see the possibility of price going bullish at this point, but again, I'm just gonna be patient with it. The trade that I got in from when price was at these highs, I'd rather just stay in those trades and see if price is gonna go bullish. Overall, it is in an uptrend, like I said, the possibility of price going bullish does still exist, but that's not what I'm really pointing towards, especially since the way how price has been consolidating up in this zone for the past 2 weeks. So overall, we just want to see price really push to the downside, breakout, retest, continuation type of play before I really start to get serious with the DXY. So that's for that. I don't have anything really much to say about the rest. I mean, naturally, just to give a freshly good reminder of what this supply zone is from these highs of 102.993 to the low of 89.235. The retracement back up to the supply zone is where I'll be looking for then. Okay, maybe the DXY is going to continue to the downside, right? But again, that is a long-term play, and I don't think it's going to probably happen this year. That's just my opinion, though. Okay, so let's go on over to arbitrage real quick before I go over to Euro USD. All right, so weekly time frame on arbitrage, DXY still been consolidating up over here. Nothing is really being told to me except that price is probably going to start turning around, which if price does turn around, boom, that would be awesome because I do want price to go bearish. Daily time frame, it is kind of setting up for a potential buy opportunity. Not really. The RSI line right here, this black line, it's not inside this gray shadow. That's where I would want that RSI line to be at, for me to be like, okay, now I'm really going to be looking for the sells on the DXY on the daily time frame. Right now, price is currently under the momentum line and over the compass. So again, it's just consolidating. Like, all that doesn't mean anything to me, basically. Like, daily, weekly, whatever, they still are kind of bullish, but I'm not trying to play the buys. 4-hour time frame on the DXY, it did call for a sell down here. I would not have played this personally. Again, right now price is just consolidating, so it's going to look sloppy on these time frames. 1-hour time frame, likewise, it's consolidating. When prices is consolidating for the arbitrage bands, that's when I try to not really go towards looking at the bands, right? So again, I'm just at this point waiting for a breakout to happen on the DXY, and we might have consolidation on the DXY till the end of the year. You know, we have 2 more weeks until 2022, so, or 2 to 3 weeks, I would say. So we can still have just consolidating price for the whole week overall on the DXY. So let's go on over to Euro USD. Let me hide my drawings. Let's look at the candlesticks. Okay. Basically same thing, just doji candles basically. I like the longer wicks to the downside, signifying that the sellers may be getting tired. I like seeing that a lot on the weekly time frame. So I'm still wanting to see Euro USD make some type of retracement to the upside. Let me go closer so I can just talk about what I have drawn up right here real quick, so that I can delete it, or not delete it, I'll just hide it. But so Euro USD last week, I had said, hey, from this bearish move, price went bullish. The retracement, I wanted to get in over here at these prices at 1.12422, and then I wanted to see price continue going bullish. Price ended up hitting my take profit 1 and TP2. So my stop loss is at break even for this trade. I'm gonna hide this out. Smaller time frames, I had noticed that, hey, from this low to this high, price can still retrace back down. Came over here to this 71% fib. I think almost, let me see, the low is 1.12650. Yeah, it basically just tapped this 71% fib. I would not have been able to get in, and went bullish right after that. So right now, EU, DXY, they're basically the same thing. I'm just like, hey, at this point, I can't play either of them. I have to wait for a breakout to happen. Either a price is going to stop me out at break even down at 1.22422, or price is going to continue going bullish and take me further into profit. I'm going to hide all these because I do need them. But yeah, overall, DXY, hide, and then hide this because I don't need it to be an alert anymore. Overall, I'm still really bullish on the DXY. If it does end up pushing to the downside further, I would be looking, my next place to look for buys would be at 1.11444, because overall, this is a higher time frame demand zone. Right, this is a weekly, even a monthly. If you look at it on the monthly time frame, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to identify it. But this is not that one. A larger time frame fib zone that you definitely want to say, hey, this price area, this demand zone that prices came into, you might want to be watching for price to turn around, because this is where price previously demand came in and kicked in the big time. So again, I'm in the trade, but I'm just at break even. Not gonna really worry too much about what it's gonna do. If I get stopped out at break even, hey, it is what it is. I've made some profits off of it already. If it continues going bullish, then more power to me, right? So, let me go over to arbitrage on Euro USD before I continue. My mistake. So same thing, or opposite of the DXY, price is just over here, bounced off of the third deviation, and it's just consolidating way out of bounds over here. I wouldn't This isn't giving me any type of information on the weekly time frame. Daily time frame, price is consolidating as well. So this isn't really giving me any kind of information like on the daily time frame. It's just consolidating price, waiting for a breakout to happen. 4-hour time frame, price is above the RSI line, this black line right here. So that's a good sign for me to see, like, hey, if price is over it, I'm usually like, what, until I see otherwise, I would expect price to go that direction. So I want to see price go bullish. 1-hour time frame, same thing as well. Price is over the RSI line as well. So, you know, again, I'm just holding the buys on Euro USD at this point. There's no reason for me to exit out of them. And if price, you know, again, if my trade gets hit at break even, it is what it is. I'm not gonna be mad about it or anything like that. Did I delete it? I think I did, but it's okay, because I know I'm in the trade. Yeah, exactly. I really want exactly what Payton just said. I really want to see the DXY tank so that it can show me, yes, indeed, that the US dollar is going to tank. All right, so this is for AUD USD. What I was looking at last week, I'm like, hey, I see that there's this wedge happening. I want to see price break out to the upside, retrace back down, and then continue going bullish. Right? Never got the retracement. Price kept going bullish. Price just said, oh no, you're not going to get a retracement from me, sorry. But I mean, for me to get into a AUD USD buy, which wouldn't really line up with, wait, hold on, before I even talk about that, let me go on to the weekly time frame. Sorry. Come on over to the weekly time frame. See that price is rejected off of this huge zone that, I mean, in the past, back in 2020, we could see that price rejected off of this zone twice before going bullish. Even before that, we can see here prices used it as a resistance. So this is a very major zone here that I had drawn out, and I like seeing this weekly bullish engulfing candle on AUD USD. This is making me, this is the type of stuff that I like to see, to be like, okay, now I can start to think that AUD USD is going to start to turn around once I start seeing bullish engulfing candles like that, right? Daily time frame, we have three white soldiers. I mean, there are 3 blue soldiers at this point, but I love seeing that, showing that there's bullish pressure in the market. Kind of looks like a bull flag on the 4-hour might be playing out with on AUD USD. Two ways how I'd play this personally is, I mean, if price came back down to these. Let me get this different color real quick. Okay. It looks like a bull flag right here. AUD USD usually respects these flags pretty nicely. So at this point, if price were to come back down here, I'd probably shoot my shot and take a buy opportunity, and would be expecting price to make a breakout eventually after just playing out in this flag. You know, I would expect that it'll eventually come down to this low and break out. But it could definitely come to these highs and then fall to the downside. If I were to get into a trade right here, I'd probably have my stop loss below these lows, like at 0.71120 or something like that. I don't know. I'll see how it looks when the time gets there. But I am looking for buys on AUD USD. It could very well just from these. I mean, it did break out pretty nicely. It could very well just come back down over here to the likes of like 70.500 and then go bullish. Like, I'm gonna have an alert there to let me know, like, okay, is this what you're gonna be? Is this a pricing where if price comes back to, are you gonna be looking to buy it at? I mean, after the falling wedge and then price breaking out like this, breaking this previous lower high. I mean, let me make sure. Let me just go over here. Where's the body of the candle? Yeah, definitely price broke this previous lower high. So it's either A, gonna respect this bullish flag, which is kind of what I want to see. I'm gonna put an alert there. Or it's gonna come down to like 0.70500, and then that would be where I would look for another possible buy opportunity, depending on what price action and other confirmations will be telling me. So yeah, definitely this play on AUD USD doesn't look terrible. We'll see what goes down. I'm gonna go ahead and draw this box out and then delete this fib so that I don't have to see the fib all day every day, because I know what I'm looking for at this point. All right, so that's for AUD USD. Let me see if I were to just take this, where would I mean, based off of this, hey, this is most likely the area where I would be looking if I were to get into that buy on AUD USD. I'm most likely taking my profits at 0.73200. Basically, that's where I'd be looking to take that if I get into that trade. But again, it'll all depend on what price looks like when it gets there. But these flags that AUD USD usually plays out on them, they do tend to play out. And I mean, hey, from this drop, I mean, this would be the previous lower high on the daily time frame. So price can definitely, yeah, that actually looks, ooh, what did I just do? I'm tripping. I think I might have just flipped the chart around. But yeah, if I were to take it from this previous lower high on the daily time frame to the lower low, price can still come over here to 0.72600. But that'll be, if this retraces to the downside, taking it up over there would actually not be a bad play at all. But again, that is just what I'll be seeing if price does push to the upside, where I can be expecting a potential turnaround, like for price to say, okay, I'm going to stop here, let's go ahead and start making a move to the downside type of play. That is not demand, supply. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Overall, I do want to see AUD USD start to go bullish. I do see the possibility again for price to come back down to 0.7500 before going bullish, but I would not mind for this bull flag to play out. This bull flag is what I'm mostly looking at to play out, personally. Okay, arbitrage, going over to the weekly time frame. I'm pretty sure, yeah, so bounced off of that second deviation. I already had this area marked off as a place where I wanted to see price bounce off of, so that's good. I was seeing the same thing basically on arbitrage. Yeah, still very bearish, but again, it needs time for it to bounce back or to start showing signs of a turnaround on the daily and the weekly time frame. So those are still bearish. 4-hour time frame, it called for a buy, it never retraced and kept going bullish. But hey, that's all good. This is a potential area where price can just turn around at again. So we'll see what happens on AUD USD. Right now it's just like the lower time frames on 1 hour, 4 hour, they're showing that price is still bullish. The daily time frame, however, is showing different things, so definitely want to be paying attention to AUD USD this week, because if it makes this push to the downside, that would be some pretty good pricing to take price up over there. But likewise with if the bull flag plays out, there is confirmations. Like I said, weekly time frame, you have a bullish engulfing. Weekly time frame, you have a bullish engulfing. Daily time frame, you have 3 white soldiers. Like, those are pretty good solid confirmations that say, hey, price might be turning around. All right, so USHF, likewise how I was talking about with AUD USD, I had said that, hey, got into the sells up over here, price rejected off of. There was a lot of confirmations that were telling me to sell USHF, honestly. Like, there was a head and shoulders over there that I'll point you guys towards. Price went bullish, retraced, was rejecting off of this low multiple times, showed some price action on the smaller time frames. Price pushed to the downside. So that's where the head and shoulders was at. Price dropped, retracement, continuation. So anyways, right now I'm at break even on UChef. Price had pushed down 44 pips. That's where I had taken my partial profits at. Gonna hide all that stuff so that I can be able to give a fresher, I should say, outlook on what can possibly happen or what possibly can be going down with UChef. And I'll leave that there. All these can be deleted though. Okay, so sorry about that. So weekly time frame, looking at UChef. Delete that as well. Long wick to the upside. Still a pretty I wouldn't call this healthy necessarily, but long wick to the upside. The wick looks larger than what the candle looks like, so that's a good sign to me. From what I'm seeing here, the open on UChef was 0.92166, and the close on this candle was 0.92060. So that's interesting that there's that much of a pip difference of a gap. This is the gap difference. 10 pip gap. Nothing too crazy, but we'll see what it looks like on the lower time frame. Daily time frame, have daily candles rejecting over here. I would still keep my bearish sentiment for the time being. There is still a gap down here from this daily candle from last week that I'm still paying attention to. But again, even with this, it's showing that there's a gap in the market right now on UChef. This could be because of the broker. Let me make sure and check out a different broker or a different provider to see if that's there. Or well, this one has an even different gap than what the previous broker was. Let's go ahead and check out a different one. Owanda looks like it opened up pretty normally. So let's just not even talk about the gaps or whatever, right? So let's not pay attention to the gap. So overall though, 4-hour time frame, same thing, bearish engulfing candle right here. Where's my volume? I knew I was missing something. I was like, there's something missing on my chart. 4-hour time frame, bearish engulfing candle. The volume was bigger than these two candles and all these other candles, so that's something I like to see, especially with this candle that pushed to the upside. The volume with this bearish engulfing was higher. I like seeing that a lot. Shows me that price can definitely still continue going to the downside. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this wick down here because again, this gap isn't necessarily accurate, I would say. And you could just push it a little bit lower if you really need to, but I don't think it'll make that much of a difference unless you're trying to be super accurate. But this is an area where price can still go bullish. Like this is still a previous supply zone or demand zone that price did go bullish at. I did participate in those buys not too long ago, and then I just switched my bias to a sell when I got kicked out of the trade. Don't judge me. But yeah, UChef, I still have a feeling that it could drop, especially the way how it's looking on the weekly and the daily. At this point, I would just have to see that either I still have my suspicion of if this is going to play out or not on UChef, where price really comes back up to like the 61.8 or the 71%, reject off of this downtrend line and then push to the downside. I still have my idea, or I still have that bias that yes, price can do that. And if so, hey, take me out to sell trade. It's all good. I was able to make some profits off of it. Don't want to be greedy or be like, I'm just gonna take let your winners run. That's what I usually be like. I'm like, let your winners run. If you have a runner, let it run. Take some partial profits so that you made money. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, there you go. Because it can bring you much more profits if you let the trade run until its course, until where you were anticipating it to go to. If it gets there, then you would have made more than if you would have just taken profits right there, right? So yeah, so USHEF, again, I still think that the possibility of it coming up to the likes of 0.93900 exists. However, I still want to just see what price is going to do. If it pushes to the downside, great. That's exactly how I feel like it's going to do anyways. And if it does, if it does just reject off of here and go bullish, it is what it is. I'll look for, when price gets up over here, I'll look for another opportunity to sell it. But until then, I'm going to hold my sell on USHEF. Still want to take it down over here to these lower lows. Because, realistically speaking, 4-hour time frame, this was the previous lower high right here. Price never broke above this previous lower high, especially on the 4-hour time frame. So I'm like, okay, yeah, still want to see this sell. Because it still is showing that it's like, okay, I came to these equal highs. Ooh, I'm still going to drop. After a drop like that, I'm like, yeah, you might not be ready to necessarily buy right now, especially with how the way the DXY looks. I want the DXY to go bearish. If the DXY goes bearish, then USD more than likely will follow in its steps. So that's for USHEF. Gonna go on over to arbitrage over here. Go to the weekly time frame. So weekly time frame on USHEF still very much bullish. Price has been rejecting off of this RSI line right here, and that's good. Price is also rejecting to the other side, the upward danger zone. So I want to see price push down at this point. It's been rejecting pretty nicely. I want to see it fall. The daily time frame, it has been consolidating a lot, so this looks kind of sloppy. I'm not necessarily going to look at the daily right now. 4-hour time frame, it is calling for a sell. I like to see that, but prices just recently came under this RSI line. So, and again, remember last week I was saying that, hey, I wanted to see this play out, but price, when I was looking for the buys, I had mentioned both in next wave and DeFi domination. I'm like, hey, right here is the place where I'm going to be looking to take partial profits at. So price ended up turning around from there. It'd be like that. So right now, USHEF definitely am feeling bearish. 1-hour and 4-hour time frame, they're calling for the sells. I wouldn't necessarily try to hop in a trade at this point in time because price can still climb up a little shortly or a little bit before falling. I had already caught the sell. So that opportunity, hey, if you're going to trade at your own risk, and please use risk management. All right, let's go on over to here to tacos. This pains my heart. Right? So I've been talking about for the past couple weeks now that, hey, only way that I'm going to be looking for buys on USD Mexican peso is if price drops down and then comes into this area that I had already marked up. My alert has not gone off yet, but I don't know how I feel about this now, because if I want to see the DXY fall, then me trying to buy USD Mexican peso is not going to help with that correlation, because the US dollar is the main pair. I'm trading against the Mexican peso. And price is coming up over here on the daily time frame closer to the 50 EMA. Let me go on to the weekly time frame real quick. Looks kind of like an evening star over here. Bullish candle, bearish candle, then bearish. This candle did not engulf this, so I can't say that this is the evening star on the weekly time frame with full confidence, right? But it does look like price wants to continue falling. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, I did say that I want to see price come up over here to 20.9663, but it's the way how price came down that I'm not necessarily a fan of, on the daily time frame, it looks like it came not necessarily fast, but I would have wanted it to take I kind of think I wanted it to take a longer time to drop down here, and especially since I have my bias on how I want the DXY to play out, it's not necessarily a good idea for me to have the opposite bias for me to have it with USD Mexican peso, even though this is an exotic pair. Exotic pairs are not going to move exactly the same way how other pairs move? I mean, let's just compare it, right? Let's just compare USD Mexican peso to the DXY. It kind of moves the same, but not necessarily all the time does it move the same. Like, yeah, price right here, when it was at these prices, when the DXY fell, so did the USD Mexican peso. But then here we see that price went extremely bullish while the DXY was going bullish as well. So the correlation matters. It doesn't matter 100%, no, but it does matter. So if I'm feeling like the DXY is going to go bearish, I do not want to feel like USD Mexican peso is going to go bullish. So for now, I'm going to have the same markup and everything, but I'm going to stay away from this pair. You know, I'm not going to necessarily put too much work into like saying, oh, I'm going to get into this or anything like that, you know. Daily time frame, it is showing that it could, once it breaks through this RSI line that it's rejecting off of right now. I mean, at this point, this is what I want to see. This would definitely help more for the DXY bias. I mean, especially with the DXY bias that calls for the sell, breaks out to the downside, retraces back up to the RSI line, and then continues falling. I would love that. Weekly time frame, price is currently under the upper danger zone. Again, same thing. If price continues falling based off of the weekly time frame, I would love that, right? 4-hour time frame, it called for a sell, but the 4-hour RSI line is inside the lower danger zone. This is the upper danger zone. This is the lower. Right now, price is currently like just chilling in there. So if price starts to turn around at these prices, I wouldn't necessarily be too shocked. And the 1-hour time frame is just, I mean, it's been pretty, it's like called for another sell. So again, right now, I think the play for me would probably be looking for an arbitrage trade for a long-term sell on USD Mexican peso. And again, that's mostly based off of the correlation of the DXY. So we'll see what goes on there with tacos, right? Gold broke my heart last week, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. Gold really shattered my dreams because I was waiting for it to really come down over here to 1769 for the longest last week, and then I was gonna look for buys. But anyways, had a falling wedge right here. Price broke out to the upside. I said, hey, I want to see the retracement come back down to 1769. Originally, this is where the fib was at. So that's why I had 1769 still drawn up. And I was like, hey, I'm still going to wait for 1769. That's why I stood on it. Price ended up making a higher high after it fell, but didn't necessarily go to my fib zone. And then came over here to 1793. I was like, okay, from 1793, I still want to see that 1769 get hit. Price almost so close. Like, look how agonizing this is. Price almost came and gave me that alert. If it would have gave me that alert, I would have been paying attention to it, and I would have been able to get in on that buy. 10 pips, about 10 pips, just for it to drop a little lower, and then boom, I could have got in. Would have definitely been at break even at that point, and would have been scotch free, you know. And then look, volume was increasing as price went with this huge bullish candle. Yeah, this thing is gonna keep going to the upside. So again, I'm low-key hot that gold never came down over to my pricing. Like, if I would have just paid attention, if I would have just drew this up a little higher and then just put it at the 71% fib, I could have got a sniper entry. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Just got to look for the next setup, right? Which, oh, wait. The next setup that I am looking for at this point, like, I can't play it. I can't play this at this point. I mean, it can possibly sell, but I'm not looking for it to sell. But I will talk about why I think it could possibly sell from where it's at right now. But yeah, at this point, I kind of just want to see what price is going to do once it comes up to the likes of 1845, you know? Actually, now that I'm really looking at this, I want to see something. From this low, that high, price retrace 71%. It'll come up over here to 1812. Never mind. Yeah, I still want to see price come up to 1845 at this point. I was saying that, hey, maybe from this high to this low, that's where price came, 61.8, and rejected to fall, which that's basically what it did. Came to the 23.6. I would expect it to continue going bullish at this point. Price never came up over here, so that possibility still exists for price to come to 1800 before it falls. But overall, I want to see 1845, really. Like at this point, again, I've missed my trade opportunity. Unless price comes to 1800 and shows rejections that it is going to fall again, at this point I would just want to wait for 1845 before I look for a price to sell. Daily time frame, none of the candlesticks are really telling me much other than this candle right here, where it had engulfed this bearish move, which is what gave me the play that, hey, I want this to retrace before going bullish. Once I saw that bullish engulfing candle right there, it is still underneath the 50 EMA, so that's something to watch out for. And the 4-hour time frame, price is currently like right under the 50 EMA. So yeah, like I said, at this point 1845 is my jazz that I'll be looking for, really, before I try to like get into any plays on gold. 1800, if price gets there, let me actually copy this right here, then I'll make that 1800. So I want to see what price is going to do up over here at the price of 1800. If price does go bullish up to here and then starts to show some rejection, starts to show some pretty decent price action for me to say, hey, this might look to be pushing to the downside. Like if there's big volume and then there's little candles up here, yeah, I'll probably start to be looking for selling opportunities right here. But if that fails, then of course 1845 would be my next bet. Alright, that is for Goldilocks. Why did I turn off my volume? But yeah, definitely like the opportunity of this going bullish. 4-hour bullish engulfing candle. Yeah, just take it to the upside. I do see this doji right here, but at the same time, it's like right at the 50 EMA, so I wouldn't be surprised that it's having difficulty trying to break through it. Let's go over to arbitrage, weekly time frame. This thing looks like a mess, I'm pretty sure still. Yeah, this thing still looks like a hot mess to me. Rejecting off of that lower danger zone, that's a good sign for a possible bullish move still. I like seeing that. Daily time frame still very much bearish, but I would not play off of any of these. So weekly and daily kind of at a commission until next week, basically. 4-hour time frame, price is trying to call for a sell, but that's only because the compass line is technically underneath the RSI line. So right now price is over the RSI line. I would for sure not play this sell, especially when the compass line right here is looking like that. I would definitely not be looking for sell opportunities. I'm looking for buys, just like same thing from last week, looking for buy opportunities. And then a 1-hour time frame, it is calling for a buy. If I get a retracement back down to like 1777, then maybe I'll try for a buy, but that'll probably be the only thing that I really could do at this point. So that's for gold. I have a bullish sentiment on it. It's already like came down over here to my little 1770, I guess, because it didn't want to come to 1769 and then took off. Yeah, false move definitely to the downside before it going bullish. It could definitely play out. And I also see, I remember, Mike, you had mentioned this in the group chat about this head and shoulders right here. So that's something you also want to be paying attention to. Right up here, the head, and then the left shoulder right above. Right, yeah, I'm gonna put it right there, because ultimately, the body closes are right where the left shoulder is at. So again, you definitely want to pay attention. You definitely want to be careful with gold, like I mentioned, from these highs of the head. to these lows, price can definitely like just drop. Like it's already hit the 78.6, 71%, and the 61.8. There is a head and shoulders pattern that is pretty visible. If you ask me, this thing can push to the downside. If it does push to the downside, I would watch for what price is going to do at 1775 before, like, because that would be an area where I'm like, hey, if this is going to go bullish, like if it drops from here, if it's going to go bullish, it's going to go bullish right here at 1775, like in that general area. So that's what I'll be looking at. Look at the daily head and shoulders too. Let me take a look at that. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Ah man. And so you see, head and shoulders like this be having me tripping. I really do be tripping off of head and shoulders like this. Like if price, I mean, that's not even what I think you're even. I think you're kind of looking at it like this. And then this move right here, that was the right shoulder.
Well, I'm looking at it. It could possibly go back up to 1813.
1813?
Yeah, there's a possibility of it doing that.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. Like, I see that play for sure. Like, 1813, man. If price were to come up to 1813, I mean, if price came up to 1800, my stop loss, if I were to try to sell it, my stop loss would probably be like at 1816. So if 1813 came, I wouldn't be mad because my stop loss would not get hit. You know? But I definitely see what you mean with this head and shoulders for sure on the daily. And so that makes it even more tougher for me to say, hey, 1845. I still want to, if like I said, if I try to get into the sell at 1800 and price ends up like kicking me out the trade, 1845 is my next bet. But I am bearish, like on a higher time frame point of view. I am bearish on gold. But for now, the push up to 1800 or 1845 does, it looks good to me, right? That move, like Mike just said, 1813, it can definitely come back up to where this previous wick was and then just go up a little bit more. There is that USD news this week, heavy USD news. So definitely want to pay attention to gold on that. I'm still hurt though. I'm still hurt. All right, S&P. I mean, I'm not going to talk really much about it. I don't necessarily like where I grabbed the fib from, but price pushed up. One came back and went bearish to retrace. I mean, to do a retracement, came back into that 78.6 Fibonacci zone, then took off like that. I expect this to make higher highs at this point. Like, I wouldn't recommend anybody to try to sell up here, especially if price is making higher highs and higher lows. What I usually say, these things are built to buy. They're built to buy. I do expect price to reach at least 4,853, maybe by the end of the year that it'll get there. But these indices are built to buy. I wouldn't try to necessarily try to sell it at all-time, I mean, like at equal all-time highs, unless you know what you're risking. Unless you knew what you were risking and you were down to say, hey, I'm looking to trade this trade. Let's say if you're risking $50 or $100 and you're totally fine with that, take the risk. I wouldn't. I'll tell you that much, especially after seeing all of this price action and what price is currently doing right now. I wouldn't try to take it, but to each his own. Bullish engulfing candle, this is like a morning star pattern basically. I wouldn't try to try to sell this. This looks like it's just going to keep going bullish. If I go on arbitrage, I promise you, every single band is going to call for a buy. Even the 1 minute time frame is calling for a buy. I promise you that. Even the 1 minute time frame. But same thing, 4 hour time frame, bullish. Extremely bullish. Daily time frame, okay, boom. I got one that said, oh well, no, I'm not. But yeah, this thing is about to call for a buy today. I promise you. So with that being said, these U.S. indices, they're just built to buy. Like every time they drop, I'll wait for them at a certain zone, and then if they respect it, I'm gonna buy it because they're built to buy. Dow Jones, same thing, built to buy. Like I had talked about it last week, or I talked about it how many weeks ago. I said, hey, I'm getting into the sell on the channel. Currently price pushed up 1,690 points. That's 16,900 pips if you want to count it pips wise. And I expect this to really, like again, maybe by the end of the year, 37,000, we might see it. But I have no intentions of trying to buy, or trying to sell when price is making higher lows and higher highs. I have no intentions of trying to buy or trying to sell this. Everything is bullish, so that's the U.S. indices. All right, let's take a look at these cryptos. First of all, let me hide these. Long-term plays, I am still looking for Bitcoin to go bullish to see how the weekly closed. Okay, weekly candle got a pretty nice looking doji. I'm not mad at that. After a big bearish move like that, I still feel the same way how I felt last week. I'm like, hey, I want to see price bounce off of this buy box, continue going bullish. I still stand by what I said. I don't necessarily think the prices of 100,000, because I do know that people still hear a lot of people saying that, oh, we're gonna hit $100,000 on Bitcoin by the end of the year, yada yada. I'm not gonna say you'll never hear me say that, because I'm like, hey, it could possibly happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen especially when there's only 2 weeks left. That 2 weeks is a lot in the crypto market. In the crypto market, 2 weeks is a long time. Anything can happen, but I'm not necessarily looking for 100,000. I would rather look at something that I could look at and say, hey, as of right now, 80,000, 87,000. 2 weeks, it can definitely be possible to play out, but maybe not. Not in my opinion. In my humble opinion, I don't think it's going to happen quite just yet this year. So, but overall, I still want to see bullish move on Bitcoin, right? Got a bearish candle, long wick to the upside with another bearish candle, then a good Mariposa candle. I like seeing this bullish candle. It's engulfing the close for sure. So this is I would consider this a bullish engulfing right here, no lie, right? So overall, Bitcoin, I still want to see these buys play out. For those in DeFi domination, I'm not calling it as an official trade, but you guys, I've been saying it in the chats. I'm in buys at 46,000, at 46,150, and I'm in buys over here at 51K. So I still stand by those trades. If price comes down lower than 40K, then hey, that's when I'll be like, yeah, for sure, keep dropping at this point. If it does do a drop like that, realistically speaking, from these lows of this is where price actually really took off. Price did come and hit the 61.8 fib already with a nice wick. I definitely want to still see this go bullish. I actually like seeing that wick right there. Makes me feel good. 40K can still definitely get hit, but I have my doubts. But if price definitely drops under 40K, it can still very much keep dropping. So at this point, again, like I said, holding my long-term buys. Bitcoin looks like it's gonna make another move to the upside pretty shortly, in my opinion. So weekly time frame. Price is still rejecting off of the RSI line. I like seeing that. I want to see price continue going bullish if it's going to reject like that. Daily time frame, it is very much bearish. It has been just holding at this second deviation. So if we can start to see a turnaround, that would be great. 4-hour time frame, it called for a sell right here, which I don't blame it for calling a sell. It was under the RSI line for quite some time. Price just broke out to the upside over the 4-hour the 4-hour RSI line. So same thing that I had ran right here. I want to see this play out. I like it coming back down to retest. I want to see this play out. If I can see 54K by the end of the week or during this week, that would be amazing. 1 hour time frame has not called for a sell yet. I'm not looking for it to sell. I do know that on Facebook, for those who follow me on Facebook, I was showing you guys a couple of cryptos that I'm like, hey, these things can go bullish, and lo and behold, they did go bullish. So, you know, if you're not already, go follow me on Facebook. All right. That was for Bitcoin. It's going over to Ethereum. So Ethereum, kind of the same thing. I'm not gonna really. Actually, let me go ahead and hide this real quick. I'll bring it back. But weekly time frame. Take a look what the candle looked like. Doji. I like seeing that right there. Not terrible. When prices had made that fall, price it came and wicked that 61.8 Fibonacci level. So the possibility of us seeing Ethereum go bullish is definitely possible. I have no idea what you just said, Janice. Ethereum right here, as long as it holds above this zone, then I would expect that it's gonna continue making it's gonna continue going bullish. Currently at 40,036. Man, but this fib for price bouncing off just and like that long wick, and price taking all these equal lows as well again before going bullish a little bit. I like the daily bullish engulfing right here. If these were closer, I could tell you if that didn't engulf it or not, but I like that Mariposa candle right there on the daily. Ooh, prices came right back down on ETH, didn't they? Alright, so now this is the current fib I have set up for it. Nope, not that. Not there, not there. Not there. I have no idea where it's at. Alright, whatever. So I'll just make a new one then. So I was saying that, hey, or wait, maybe it is this one right here. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So price from this wick, it pushed to the upside. It rejected off of this 61.8 Fibonacci level. Price can still potentially go bullish, right? Not taking that out the equation. Not going to say that ETH is not going to possibly go bullish right here. It can, but seeing 37.72 wouldn't be terrible. I'd most likely get into that. But going on to the 1 hour time frame, especially looking at all these, dang, price really came right back down. Came right back down. So from this lower high to this lower low on the 1 hour time frame, price came up, came to the 78.6, rejected pretty nicely. If I do say so myself, it rejected these pretty nicely. In the DeFi domination group, I did say, hey, right now, this is a potential area where price could potentially fall at, but I have my bias still set on buy. So I'm still pretty bullish on these. So price turned around. It could hold right here where price is currently at. It could definitely hold and continue to go bullish as of right now. So on Ethereum, I don't necessarily have like any type of, this is the play if I were to play one that I would look at. I'm like, hey, price right now is currently at this fib zone. If it holds here, if it shows some type of consolidation, it could possibly go bullish. That's what I would want to see, but it's definitely off of the speed how it came down, you might want to be careful with that. Waiting out for possibly I don't want the buy box. I actually want this to be demand more than anything. Yeah, you see how price is just starting to fall even lower. That's why I would say that, hey, at this point, maybe wait for. Even waiting for 3,933 wouldn't be terrible. But even from that, waiting for this possible play right here, where price comes down to 3,772 might not be the worst. It definitely might not be the worst. So take a look at that. Daily time frame had called for the sells up here. Price dropped, rejected off of this lower danger zone. I would like to see price start to turn around, quite honestly. Wait, let me go on the weekly real quick. Sorry. Weekly time frame still very much bullish on Ethereum. Still very much bullish on Ethereum. 4-hour time frame, price is calling for the sells, rejected right off of there, off of that RSI line. I don't like necessarily to see that. Let's see what else we have here. 1-hour time frame called for the buy, price moved up, but then again this push that price made to the downside. Man, it's tough. So we'll see what happens with the cryptos. Currently -3%, but hey, that's nothing new with the cryptos, right? -3%. We probably see that like every day. And Ripple, I'm not really gonna like give too much of a play. I have the same setup as I had from last week on Ripple for the buys, so nothing's really changed on here. I'm not really gonna dive deeper into Ripple. I'm just gonna like, hey, I still have the same idea on Ripple as I did last week. I still think that this is gonna go bullish. I do know that, hey, from this bearish move, price came to the 71%, rejected it, and fell. I definitely see that, but again, I still want to see these cryptos. They're all long-term at places where they're like, okay, if you hold me long enough, I'm most likely gonna go bullish, and even if I do go bearish, hey, it is what it is. So we'll see what happens with the cryptos on that. Ethereum, XRP, doing the same thing as the other cryptos right now. They're dropping a little bit, pretty much. Nothing too crazy. I'm waiting for this. I want to see how this 4 hour is going to play out, because it did call for a buy at first, retraced, now it's called for the sell. So it's kind of iffy on if this is going to go bullish or not now, to me. Daily time frame has been very much bearish ever since the 21st, and the weekly time frame did call for a sell 2 weeks ago. But I'm not. If anything, I would still have to wait for price to come back up to like $1.01 before saying, okay, on the weekly time frame, maybe it's time for this to start to turn around and come back to like 42 cents before it goes bullish again, or something like that. But again, let's just leave it at that. Not gonna really go too crazy on the cryptos right now. Like, there's not any setups that I'm like, hey, get into this. I would just be patient on it at this point. All right, so GBP/USD last week had gone into a play, gave us a cool little 23 pips, then broke at stopped us out at break even. It's all good. So I still wanted to see this, and now we're getting that. I wanted to see the breakout of this falling wedge on GBP/USD, a retracement, and then a continuation to the upside. Looks like we're getting that at this point. Let me delete all this stuff right here. And I was really saying down over here I wanted to get into a buy opportunity, but that never I never got the chance to do it, so it is what it is. But yeah, daily time frame, I like seeing that bullish engulfing candle on the daily time frame with GU. There is this structure right here that is going to be definitely a pain for price to like break through, for me to be like, okay, yes, now I really do feel confident in this bullish move. But yeah, overall with GU at this point, I kind of want to see it continue going bullish. I mean, it definitely can do a play like this, where like from this high, it's like, all right, I'm going to retrace back down to 1.3200 and then buy. If it does, cool, I'll be watching for it. If not, cool as well. I personally want to see it just keep climbing at this point. I don't want it to come back down. So that's for GU. Nothing really too much more to talk about other than, let me talk about this this demand zone that's right here. So there is this demand zone that I see that price, it's been holding at it very nicely. If it's going to start to turn around long term, this would be in this zone will be where I'd be looking for price to do such a thing. So let's see what Oops, I did not mean to do that. Let's see what GU is going to do for us this week. Again, I wouldn't be crazy over price coming down to 1.3200, but I would be looking for that setup. Let me even make sure I set an alert for it. Okay, going on over to arbitrage. Weekly time frame, very much bearish. It's holding at the lower danger zone, so that's good. Daily time frame, price is very much bearish, so again, for the buys, you kind of want to be patient a little bit. 4-hour time frame, it is starting to look like it might turn around. Price was just over here at the lower danger zone, just bounced off of the RSI line. So if price does end up going bullish, like I said, I mean, at this point, that's kind of basically what I want to see happen on GU. But if it does retrace, then I'll be looking for that opportunity as well. But overall, I just want to see price continue going bullish. Okay, GBP AUD. Who is still up in this, man? I came so close. All right, so GA had talked about this last week. If anybody had gone in at these prices, then man, you're in some pretty good profits. But like I was saying last week, right? I was saying that, hey, price, I had gone into a sell over here at 1.18530 basically. My stop loss was above these highs at 1.89846, and I had said that, hey, price can very well come up all the way up into these like 1.1800 or whatever, because from these highs to this low, that's still a pretty solid supply zone. And so supply definitely kicked in, and then price ended up falling to the downside. At this point with GA, all I can do is either A, stay in the trade. Let me just leave that there at this point and hide it. I can either A, stay in the trade, or B, wait for a price to retrace back up, because I think it can do that, 1.87384, and then continue falling to the downside. Personally, I'm going to stay in the trade. Even if I get stopped out at break even, that's cool, because again, 1.87420 would be an area where I'll be looking at for a potential another move to the downside on GA. So that is what I have for this pair. I like this 3 black crows or 3 red crows at this point. Price is under the 50 EMA. Price can still potentially fall. Like just like how on with AUD USD, it has that bull flag. You can see that there's this little bear flag forming on GA on the 4-hour. If you go in and look at it on a lower time frame, you can see that there's this little possible flag panning out. So gonna wait and see what GA does with this. Again, it could definitely just come up to like 1.85400 and then end up falling because of this bull flag. But we'll see. But because of this bear flag. But we'll see what goes down. Gonna leave that right there. Looks pretty solid though. Alright, so that's GA. Going on over to arbitrage. 1-hour time frame, it is calling for a buy, but I don't like the way how the bands look right now, so I would not play that personally. 4-hour time frame, very much bearish. Wouldn't try to get in that right now. Daily time frame, after a sharp move like this, and I'm seeing these buys, it's kind of hard for me to say it looks like it's a good buy for now, right? I would wait personally. Like I said, again, after seeing a fast move like that, saying that this is gonna go bullish is kind of hard. And on the weekly time frame, price is like right there at the RSI line. It can go anywhere at this point. So with GA, I'm just gonna, like I said, either A, price pushes up and stops me out my trade at break even, or B is just gonna keep going, right? GBP JPY taking off, man. So this is another trade that I had gone into last week. Same play as GU basically, where I saw the falling wedge. Price broke out. I was like, okay, awesome. I wanted the retracement. Price held at this zone for the longest, and then pushed to the upside. So that's on GJ. It was kind of sloppy. I was at break even, but I got back into the trade because I'm like, hey, this still looks solid to me. And so, dang, that opened up with a gap. That's kind of wild. So at this point, GJ, I would just say to be careful with it, because one of two things can happen, right? After I've seen this wedge, I'm like, okay, price broke out of it. I definitely do want to see the buy happen. Price could be looking to fall at this area where it's currently at this previous supply zone right here, right? But for me personally, especially since GJ's been dropping for so long, I still want to see some type of retracement. I still want to see some type of retracement back to the upside of GJ, like 151.960. I have that drawn up. That's not necessarily terrible place for me to look for price to retrace at least back up to, at least, like I said. But overall, 153.100 is really where I'm like looking at for GJ to climb up to before, if it really is going to go bearish, that's where it will start to go bearish at, you know? So let me delete all this stuff and make it much more clearer. So overall, watching to see what GJ is gonna do at this current zone that it's at. I'm not necessarily bearish on GJ. I'm more bullish, especially on the JPY pairs, just the way how they've been bearish for so long. Like, I want to see them go bullish, like at this point a little bit, and do like a retracement to the upside. So GJ don't have much to say about it. Like, again, I'm already in buys from down to this low. I expect them to continue going to the upside. 151.960 is where I'm going to be getting out the trade. So that's for GJ weekly time frame, and I'll show you the same trade kind of setup that I have on arbitrage. So the weekly time frame, I had said, hey, at this point, I want to see price come back up to like 152.916 before I really decide if I'm gonna try to get into a sell type of, or into a sell to play, right? Daily time frame is very much bearish, so still like, hey, gotta watch out for the weekly and the daily. But 4-hour time frame, almost like I had gone into the trade like around over here. Price almost waked me out this trade for arbitrage. I had it both for arbitrage and just for regular price action, but price never took me out the trade. So I'm like, hey, might as well stay in it, because this is a stop hunt if I've seen one. And I mean, right at this point, that's what price is proving to me, that that was indeed a stop hunt. So I mean, hey, this is a possible play setup that you could try to get into if you would like. I'm not calling it for DeFi domination, but this is something that I had called in a different chat that I'm in. So I'm still in this buy, and I'm still looking to have it play out. 1-hour time frame, it's still bullish as well. So hey, I'm definitely still looking for these buys on GJ. I'll take a look at EJ as well, because I know that's a pair that I had talked about for DeFi domination that I'm in right now. Let's go on over to EG before I finish this off. So EG was one of those pairs where I was like, wow, I cannot believe I did not see this. From this high to this low of 0.838100, price really came back and retraced up to this zone. Well, I mean, this is where price previously had fallen down from, and it rejected very nicely off of that 71% fib, and then continued to push to the downside. If you go on over to the daily or the weekly time frame and see how that looks, you're gonna be like, oh, this is probably gonna keep pushing to the downside, especially if I'm looking for the GBPs to go bullish, and then price just lift a long wick like that to the upside. Yeah, I definitely am feeling like EG is gonna go bearish, right? I just have that feeling that the influence of the GBP is going to push Euro GBP to the downside. There was a daily bullish engulfing candle a couple of days ago before there's this bearish moves. So I'm kind of still iffy on EG at this point. I do also see that, hey, the possibility of price from this low to this high. Right now, price is at an area where it definitely can look to turn around to go bullish, but I'm not necessarily looking for buys on EJ. I would probably even want to see what price is going to do if it comes back up to 0.85733. So for now, at this point, I kind of have to just leave EG alone. You know, I see that, yes, it could potentially go bullish from where it's at right now. Price is currently over the 50 EMA on the 4 hour, but again, from just looking at it from a higher time frame point of view, this looks like it's going to continue falling. And especially if I want to see GBP JPY and GP USD go bullish, it's kind of hard for me to say that I want to buy this. The 1 hour time frame does kind of look like it might set up for a buy, but again, I'm not here for it. The 4 hour time frame looks like it might actually call for a sell shortly, but it's just right there at the RSI line, so it's at an indecision point for me for sure on the 4 hour. The daily time frame, it called for a buy, but then it's currently under the lower danger zone. So I'm iffy on that. And then the weekly, it's been like this for weeks. Like at this point, if price is gonna go bullish, it has to really make a bullish engulfing candle or something like that on the weekly for me to say that, okay, yes, I'm gonna now look for buys on EG. But until then, especially it rejecting off of the RSI like that, the sells may be in play for real. So that's for EG. I'm going to go on over to EJ, but if there's any other pairs that anybody wants me to take a look at, drop them in the chats now. So, EJ. I remember I had talked about this last week on Thursday, I want to say. I was saying that, hey, look, I definitely see from this low to this high, price coming back down into this fib. No, that was not it. That was not the fib, I think. I think it was right here. Right here. I see that, hey, price can definitely push back up, come down to these fibs and hold here and then go bullish, right? I said that I see that opportunity and it looked pretty good. I actually got into the trade at there. But I was like, hey, there's also the possibility that price can literally just come and wick us out like how it literally did, like for this trade right here. Because from this low to this high, price can still come to the 71% fib at 127.883 and show a stop hunt down there and then push right back up. That's exactly what price is doing, right? Like right now, price is currently in profit a little bit. I'm still in this trade like I have been mentioning in the DeFi domination chat. But I mean, hey, price can definitely still come back down to 128.030 or something like that and then take off to the upside. But EJ, just like with GJ, I kind of do want to see this go bullish, like just how it looks right here. It was also in a falling wedge. Price was in the falling wedge. It broke out to the upside, retraced, continued to the upside. Textbook. Like, I'm glad although yes, I had taken some losses off of this original entry, I made sure that I'm like, hey, I'm still gonna get in, and I made sure to get in at 127.883 as well, because I was looking for a price to still hit that. Yep, awesome. So that's for EJ. Let me go on over to arbitrage. Weekly time frame is very much bearish. So that's something that you want to pay attention. You want to pay attention to that. It could potentially fall, but I don't think it is. Daily time frame, it's very much bearish. But again, after price moves bearish so much, it could only go bearish for so long before it turns around and goes bullish in the Forex market. Like, I'm not saying stocks, because if a stock hits zero, for it to come back up, I doubt it. But for in the Forex market, there's no such thing as just plain zero, unless the currency loses absolutely all of its value. 1 hour time frame, we do have a buy opportunity that was called. Price had retraced. back down to these lows. I expect this to continue going bullish. So yeah, that is for EJ. And that is it for my analysis. If there is no other pairs that anybody wants me to look at, I'll go ahead and stop it there. I know that I've been on this for almost an hour and 30 minutes. So with that being said, if that is all, no questions, comments, concerns, awesome. Alright guys, well thank you for hopping on. I do appreciate it. And timestamps will be available.
Thank you very much.
No problem, no problem. Timestamps will be available shortly. And let's make some money this week y'all. Later.